Hey peeps, how you doing today? Uh, my Aid and I are twins from here to here. She's wearing the same T-shirt. See, we twins. We love each other dearly. Okay, what we're gonna do today? We're doing a two-part video on this. We're gonna show you how to cook Great Northern beans to make homemade barbecue baked beans. I don't know if you guys are guilty of it or not, but there have been so many times coming up on Thanksgiving that I realized I forgot to get the pork and beans to make the baked beans. And I'd run to the store, shelves wouldn't have no beans on it. So I taught myself how to make homemade ones using Hurst brand Great Northern beans. And they cook easier and they get thicker juice in them than any beans that I've ever used. So when I'm using pinto beans or Great Northern beans, it's always the Hurst brand. And no, I don't get paid for advertising. Just so you know, I don't get rewarded for advertising for them, but I want you to get the same results I get. Now, another thing that we'll be doing on tomorrow's video, once we dip out enough beans in a small amount of the juice to make the baked beans, we're going to show you how not to waste the bean juice, because I was raised in Kentucky and we were really poor, and Mom would do things, to make it kind of spice up the meals a little bit. And one of the best things that she taught me how to make, other than the potato salad, was bean dumplings. And yeah, I know it probably sounds stupid to people, but if you try it, you'll be addicted. Okay, so what we're going to do, cut the top off of this, and I'll show you how my mama taught me how to clean beans versus how my mother-in-law taught me how. And I go with what my mother-in-law taught me. My mama would pour the beans out into her hand, and she would go like this and make sure there were no bad beans in it, and then she'd put them in the strainer. But my mother-in-law taught me a quicker, easier way. You just pour them out onto the counter and clean them. And you don't have to do the flipping. Okay. Now, you hold the strainer up here. This is the easiest way to do it. And you make sure that you can get all the bad ones out. Oops. I heard that. Okay, that one don't look great. And another thing about the Hurst brand, you don't find as many bad ones in it. And if it's a half a bean or something, I just go ahead and cook it. Now, my mother-in-law didn't. She picked out the half beans and fed them to the chickens. But I kind of like the half ones. I think it helps make the juice thicker. Now, what took my mom at least 20 minutes to do, yep, it takes maybe 5 minutes at the most to do it this way, so it cuts a lot of your cleaning time down. And especially when there's two of us doing it. Because what I miss, she's going to pick up on. Okay, now she's going to wash them and put them in the kettle. And you want a kettle about this size. It holds about a gallon. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to turn these on. And once they come to a boil, you want them to boil hard for about 10 minutes. And then you're going to turn them down. You're going to put the lid on them and let them slow cook for about 2.5, 3 hours. I'm going to put in butter instead of using grease because butter is healthier for you and it gives them a better flavor. Butter makes anything taste better. And I'm using a whole stick. That helps them get thicker because they don't even start getting thick until they've had the seasoning put in them. I'm letting her get that off there. I can't seem to do it. That's the only thing I hate about stick butter. Is it's so hard to get the topping off or the wrap off of it. Okay, now I put in 1 stick of butter, and what I'm going to do is measure the salt out in my hand. I'm putting about that much in the palm of my hand in it. That way they're not too salty. I'll have to re-salt myself, but I'm a saltaholic. I happen to love salt. Now, we're going to let these come to a boil, and we'll be back when they're done. But like I said, you let them come to a boil and let them hard cook for 10 minutes, no more. And if you need to add water, you do that. But you definitely want to let them come to a good boil for a few minutes and then turn them down on low. That way they get nice and thick juice in them. And we will be back. It'll be right back for you guys. It'll be about 10 minutes for us, but we're not going to make you watch all of it. Okay, peeps. Our beans have been boiling for 10 minutes. And what we're going to do is turn the burner down, put a lid on it, and let them simmer or let them cook on low for about 3 hours. And we will be back when they're done. We're not going to make you go through 3 hours of watching beans boil. We will be right back. The beans are now done. It took us about
2 hours.
About 2 hours. Now they're not thick yet, but I don't want them to get thick yet. I want to let them cool overnight in the fridge, and then when I bring them out, I'm going to scoop a lot of them into the pan to make baked beans with, but I'm going to leave a few beans in this. And when I make the dumplings in the juice, it makes the juice real thick. So we will see you tomorrow with the rest of the video. But at least this will show you how to do this without having to use Van Camp's pork and beans or whatever brand is out there. I prefer homemade because it tastes better. And cooking them in butter instead of grease gave them a whole extra taste that they normally don't have. I could actually eat a whole bowl of them. So could fellas, but we gotta save them for tomorrow.
Probably be even better as baked beans.
Very, very good tasting. And if you can see the juice, it's very yellow with the butter, but that butter gave them such a good flavor. Of course, my ex-husband said that it ruins them. That you can't make baked beans if you put butter.
I think they're going to turn out good.
He don't know nothing about cooking. He just thinks he does. He hates my cooking. But people, when he was in rehab after he broke his back, he was in Paoli Convalescent Center, which is not a convalescent center anymore. I can't remember what they call it. And he loved their nursing home food. I'm sorry, I ain't ready for that yet. But we will see you again tomorrow, same time, same station, same video, because it's all
It'll be all put together.
It's going to be all put together. She's amazing as an editor. She edits it down to where it all fits. What takes 2 hours shows up as 20 minutes on the video.
20, 30. Yeah.
So, we will see you tomorrow. Love y'all. Okay, peeps, we're back. This is day 2.
For us.
For us, day 1 for you. What we're doing is we're going to dip. You want some of the juice to be in the beans that you put in your pan, and we're using an aluminum pan to make cleanup time a little less. And you just want to put however many beans in there that you think your family are going to eat, which with me, because I'm making the bean dumplings, I'm not going to use quite as much. But I figure about right here, that pretty well fills up the bottom. It covers it. And this we're going to leave turned on. Okay, now as I was saying, this is enough. And we're using a cup of loosely packed brown sugar. I don't make mine super sweet, which the Jack Daniels makes it sweeter because it's got honey in it. So you don't have to use quite as much. And then you want to stir that in. And in case you're wondering, that's not dirt. We have a lot of lime in the water. You want to stir that in good. And the oven needs preheated to about 325, 350. And the reason you want to put a little juice in there is so that it doesn't dry out and stick. Nobody likes dried out baked beans. Well, at least ways I don't. I'm not everybody, but I'm assuming pretty much everybody has an aversion to dried out stuff. And the one thing that I try to always make sure I do is when I'm cooking, I want everybody to like my food. My ex-husband hated my cooking. That's why he's my ex-husband. My choice, not his. Now, what you're going to do, we've got 2 medium onions cut up. We're going to be using part of it for the beans, and we're going to be using part of it for the dumplings. The dumplings are the piece de resistance, or whatever
Pièce de resistance.
That, what she said. I'm not French. Okay, now, You want to stir that in. To make sure you've got enough for your taste, I put roughly half a cup in, or maybe a little more than that. And I'm going to add just a little bit more because I love onions. There. So roughly half of it. I used to cut it in rings and layer the rings over it, but people, I'm too old to care about how it looks. I'm more into how it tastes. Okay, we got that done. Now she's going to open that, not me, because she's got a better grip than I've got. And I'm going to measure it into a measuring cup so you'll know roughly how much to do. I figure there's not much more than a cup in a bottle, but a cup may be enough. I go by the look on it. You know, if it looks like it's got enough, that's pretty much what I go for. I was raised on a glob of this, a dollop of that, you know. That was our recipes down home. And it always worked out just fine. But when you're doing it for an audience, you need to kind of know what that gulp is, what it measures out to. Now see how pretty this is already looking. And you just stir it in good. Now, as far as the bean dumplings go, my mother always done it in pinto beans. I'm kind of burnt out on pinto beans, and so I went into being hooked on Great Northern beans. And I'm going to do it in the Great Northern beans to be able to make it taste a little different and hopefully a little better. Oh, this is looking so pretty. Look at this, people. You can't ask for anything better than homemade. Homemade is the best. And I'm going to add just an extra gulp. That was a gulp and a half, but you know, you get the idea of what a gulp is. If you hear it go gulp, that's a gulp. And I heard it do that twice. Oh yeah, those are beautiful. Now, I need about 6 strips of bacon, because we're going to put it this direction. Now you can even do this on top of the stove. I've had times when my ovens went out, and I've done it what my dad always called lazy man style. But in my case, it was, I want baked beans and I'm going to make them, no matter how I have to do it. But don't you hate going to the grocery store the day before Thanksgiving because you forgot to get pork and beans for your baked beans, and the shelves be empty, no pork and beans in sight? I've done that many times. And there ain't nothing I hate worse than that. Okay, we need 6 strips off of that, please. we try to keep the dishes done up as we go for the most part. Sometimes we're lazy and don't do that, but if you want easier cleanup time after your meal, you do that. You wash them as you dirty them. Now this is the best tasting bacon in the world, but it's thin. And it's hard to get apart. But oh my God, it tastes good. Oh, and that's going to go from one end. We may only have to use 4 slices because that's going from one end to the other. Oh, that's perfect. Perfectly sweetened and everything. And no, I'm not using the finger that I left. Just so you know, nobody's getting my slobbers. One more. Oh, we already had it apart? Okay. Now, she's going to put this in the oven, and then after I get my dumplings made, and I've already shown you how to make homemade dumplings, then we'll come back and we'll show you what we're doing. Before we take the break, this is how many onions I had left, and I'm putting all of that in the dumplings because it gives it extra flavor. I know when you got pinto beans, what we always call soup beans, you want onion with it in front of my eyes. Okay, peeps. Now I did my dumplings a little different this time. I used butter in them instead of using lard or bacon grease because I know my doctor, she does not use meat or meat products. She will use eggs and stuff like that, which there isn't even eggs in this. But I've never been able to really get dumplings to hold together in chicken and dumplings because they usually disintegrate if you use butter. But I'm trying this time. And I'm cutting out the dumplings, and I'm going to let Phyllis drop them in. And you want to have your beans bubbling good because that helps them cook instantly. Once you drop them in there, they should be good to go within 5 minutes. But like I said, I'm hoping these will hold together. It's hard to get butter to be a good cohesive thing to use. So she's going to put them in there, and you do not want to dust them off because the more flour you have on them, that makes the juice nice and thick. That's why I don't cook them till they're thick before I start the dumplings, because that added flour is going to dry that juice up real quick.
Hello, it smells good.
To me, this is a comfort food. Try it first.
Okay. Am I on film?
Yes.
Okay. So I have to behave, don't I?
Yeah, and you have to be honest.
Chicken and dumplings, or dumplings with beans?
Dumplings with beans.
Mmm.
Bean dumplings.
Oh, God.
I grew up on those. Only Mom always used pinto beans.
Mmm.
Me, I prefer the black bean.
Mm-hmm.
Now this
Oh,
is,
that's perfect combo.
isn't it?
I would never have thought about it. Mm-hmm.
It's a depression era thing.
Mmm. Did you put the recipe on there?
Oh, heck yeah.
Mmm.
And instead of cooking the beans in lard the way I always do, I cooked them in butter. And it turned out tastier.
Mmm.
Now try this.
Then Harmon would like this because no? Oh man. This
I
is so
cooked
good.
it. He ain't gonna like it. If you'd have brought some that I cooked and you told him you cooked it, it'd have been good.
Let's put it in a different dish.
He saw us cooking once.
He did.
I know, yeah.
But we're gonna have to trick him.
Let's put it.
That's what I would tell her for.
We'll have you make something. I'll bring some other dish he's never seen. Some fancy dish thing. And we'll transfer it over. And I'll leave and come back with it covered in foil. Oh, I brought you something.
And we'll cook something totally
Pete.
different for the video.
Her hubby is
Ex-hubby.
ex-hubby.
And that's why he's my ex.
That's why.
Don't ever confuse me with being married. I ain't never doing that again. Homemade baked beans. Made out of the same beans.
That's good.
Is that not delicious?
What else in there?
I don't know how many times I have forgot to pick up Van Camp's pork and beans to make my baked beans with. And get to the store, it be the day before Thanksgiving, and all the shelves of beans be empty. And I decided to learn to make them homemade, and I thought, well, they have to be using Great Northerns to make the Van Camps or whatever you want to use. And so I just taught myself to make them from scratch.
Onions.
It's got
Brown sugar?
brown sugar, and it's got
Ketchup.
no
Barbecue sauce.
barbecue sauce. I am not destroying nothing that I fix with ketchup. 1 out of 10.
Oh God! Both of these are like 25.
All right.
These are good. This is.
Okay. Now,
And this is not expensive at all.
no, these
Oh,
the
these are good.
beans.
That one bag of beans made both.
Yeah, I used 1
Oh.
pack of beans.
These are excellent.
Yeah, and I even measured how much I put in, other than I did add a couple of gulps, more than a cup.
It's just onions, no green peppers in here.
No green peppers. I thought about putting green peppers in them, but I knew she wouldn't taste them if I did.
They're perfect the way they are. See, bacon.
Yep. We used 5 strips, wasn't it? Or 4.
Oh.
And I used a disposable pan, so you don't have to try and soak it loose.
I am never going to make, because I use
Van
Camps or Bush's beans, and then I put some barbecue
Ketchup.
sauce, brown sugar, maybe some onions, and doctor it up, salt and pepper, whatever. But they're from the can, and maybe some ham or bacon if I have it. But I'm never making them that way again. These with the dried beans
are better.
Yeah.
And cook your beans in butter rather than lard or bacon grease.
These.
You got enough bacon on the top.
And this.
You heard it here first, peeps. This is a winner.
Now you don't need to have anything else. You could just have these for days.
Exactly.
If you had to live without anything else for a week or something.
And I'm taking harvest some of each of it because none of them have tasted homemade baked beans, or they hadn't even heard the bean dumplings?
No, I haven't either. And
It's a Depression era thing. They had to do what they could to
you
make.
cut and rolled these out.
Yes.
Mm,
And instead of using lard in them, I used butter, and they held together. We gonna make her fat and sassy today. Well, she was already sassy. But we will see you again here next week.
okay.